Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. On this episode, we tackle removing the EGR setup off of our Turbo Regal. EGR modifications are quite popular within the Buick community, and if you've done any modification to your car, usually a place that you start is removing the excess junk, i.e. the EGR system. Now, this is for off-road use only, I have to say it. If you live in California or another state that has strict emissions laws, you may want to be putting back your EGR system if it's missing. In that case, just follow this instruction in reverse. But let's hop into what the EGR system is, what it does, how does it operate, and then we can get into how to remove it on our cars.
Exhaust gas recirculation, EGR for short, is an important pollutant reduction method in petrol and diesel engines. A key component of exhaust gas recirculation is the EGR valve. It meters the quantity of exhaust gas that is returned. Here we can see its basic structure. Exhaust gas is taken directly after the cylinders. Then, the EGR valve regulates the subsequent mixing of the exhaust gas with the intake air. This means that less oxygen reaches the cylinder. Less oxygen means a lower combustion temperature. This way, nitrogen oxide quantities can be reduced by up to 70%. As the higher the temperature, the more harmful nitrogen oxides are produced.
So that is the most helpful explanation that I was able to find on it. And the top comment for that video is basically the EGR forces the engine to smell its own farts, which is really true, right? You can't put it any better than that. So let's take a look at our hot air engine and see how that correlates with the Turbo Regal. Here's a low buck 109 block that I plan to disassemble. You need to take off the EGR valve, that plate underneath it, and this pipe, both sides. Then we'll plug this hole using one of these freeze plugs. But once you remove that, you'll be able to put some silicone sealant on it and tap it in. Start off by removing these two 13mm bolts. Next up, grab your 1 1/16 wrench and break these two, one from here and then the other one from over here. Now to get at these, you're likely going to have to remove your turbo and your PCV valve and vacuum line, but make sure you just get everything out of the way. You may have to remove your valve cover as well, but if you work from this side this way, then you should be good. Next up, we can get this housing piece off, going back to our 13mm. Now there's nothing else holding it, but it is sealed, so you're gonna have to wiggle it away. So here's my cheat code. If you have this, you can break off the gasket and just trace this on a piece of metal. This is the perfect template to build your metal plate out of. So next thing up is getting this bolt out of the way. Now, this is just way too long, and what we want are two shorter bolts that are the same thread as this, because if I try to reuse this one, it's way too long to get all the way down at the end. So let's extract this one, and let's find shorter bolts, maybe about half this length, that we can use to bolt our plate down to the intake. You all want to see something really interesting about this EGR? Take a look in there. It is completely blocked. I can't wait to get rid of this system. Look what kind of havoc it causes. And this is on an engine that had 75,000 miles. It's remanufactured, so it has even less on the motor than the rest of the body. Just needs to go. So there are two ways on how to remove this stud. You can find two nuts, screw them on, and then basically work them against each other to unscrew from the base. Now, I can't find a second nut, so I just grabbed my vice grip and I've gotten it on the smooth surface. Got a lot of tension on here, and just like that, it does turn freely. So I'm gonna work that out just by this, and we'll be one step closer. Now, fast forward to a year later, and we've made a lot of progress, not only with our engine, but with our EGR system as well. So we've cut that plate to match, and we have a gasket underneath there, and it's sealed. I found 2 bolts that have the right thread pattern. And then over here, we found the right freeze plug that you can tap in. And that's all there is to it. It's really easy to remove that EGR system from our cars. And before you do plug it up for good, make sure that you clean out and remove all of that soot from the system, because it still can be sucked in through your intake. And if you like what you see here today, drop a note, let me know how I did. Like, share, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Talk to you on the next one.